So for our last exercise, I went ahead and drew the glass box, the total height, total width, and total depth of our final item. Um, the next thing I did was I drew a square that was up the 1/2 inch distance, okay, to create this platform. In the middle of the platform is a cylinder, okay, and that cylinder, it goes the entire height, and it's a 2-inch diameter cylinder. So what I'm going to need to do is find the center of this top part of the glass box. It's okay that the glass box exceeds the perimeter of the drawing space because the actual drawing itself will stay within that area. So to find the center mark, I'm going to measure in 1.5 inch, or sorry, 1.25, because the total width and depth is 2.5. I'm going to transfer that back and forth, but I'm also going to use that. I'm going to transfer that line down. Okay, and you'll understand why in just a couple of moments. That's a little bit dark, so you're going to want to go lighter than that. I'm going to do the same thing on this side as well. 1.25. Transfer it lightly down and over. Okay. So I'm also going to be drawing those circles lightly, and do everything in construction weight line first before you go back and darken it in, because this cylinder is a little bit odd. It has a tiny little notch cut out of it, and so we're going to have to take that into account as well. So you're going to be using your circle template quite a bit on this one. Okay, so I went from just a box to having a ton of lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my circle template and line up those dots on the center lines that we just created. Okay, again, I'm going to go nice and light with this to begin with. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing down on this platform as well. And if you just take a moment or two to line things up at the beginning, it goes a lot better. So what I'm doing is on the bottommost piece, I'm only going to go from the widest point down and to the widest point, because anything behind that in an isometric view, I wouldn't be able to see. Okay, not without some superpower glasses or anything like that. So I'm only doing the widest bits. And now I can draw in these lines to help guide me to make sure I'm staying nice and square. Okay. So the next thing, we have the beginnings of our cylinder. And if you want, if it helps you mentally to just go ahead and darken in these object lines as well, now would be a good time to do that, because you can see where the edges of your cylinder are and where those object lines are going to be blocked from visibility based on the orientation here. All right. Okay, so I have the darkened object lines, I have the beginning of my cylinder, but now I got to get this notch that's cut out. So this is going to be our front side, and it looks like the notch is cut out of the front. So we're going to measure forward on this line 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and we're going to use that and bring that out left and right. Okay. The entire width of that notch, okay, it goes 3/8 inch over in each direction. So there's 3/8 and 1, 2, 3/8. Okay, so you're seeing that I'm stopping on that curve with my lines. There we go. Okay, and now for the top part, I'm ready to darken in my object lines for my circle. So I'm going to reline that up. There we go. Oops, I wiggled. Okay, and see this part where I overshot my mark? I'm going to have to come back with my eraser shield and clean that up a bit. So next, the bottom of that groove, okay, we can draw lines that extend down, okay, to help us see where that's going to end up being. But the problem is that we need to have this part arced. It's a circular kind of a groove that's cut out as well. So we're going to bring down those construction lines, okay, those center lines, we're going to bring it down 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to start from my front corner, measure 5/8 of an inch, okay, project that right and left. Okay. Now that line that I brought down from my halfway mark, I already know where I'm supposed to be drawing that center line. But also, there's so many construction lines right here in the middle. It could get really frustrating trying to figure out what's what. So just definitely keep an eye on where your lines are that you're trying to use. Okay. So I'm taking a moment, trying to line everything up and trying to remember where each one goes. So this center line, I gotta scooch this down. I know, this is the hardest part, is keeping an eye on what goes where. And I see that I've already wiggled some. So I'm going to try that again. There we go. And I'm following that arc. So with this one, it's a practice in patience and definitely keeping organized on where your lines belong. Okay. Finding those intersecting points and keeping track of what goes where. I'm going to go back and clean that up before I turn it in, but that is how you do the safety key.